Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. Today we are back on the 2022 NFL Draft grind after a long Saturday of spring games, taking a look at our final rankings for the tight end class that is relatively weak this year, but we'll talk about some prospects that we do think will provide some value for some teams. Before we do that, thank you guys for all the support. Over 700 subscribers. We've been doing this for less than a year, just chopping it up about ball, and you guys have been awesome with the support. Dill, let's get into this tight end class. Only two.
Not good. It's not a good tight end class.
Not good. Only 3 day 2 grades. No guys in the day 1 grades. Let's start with Trey McBride from Colorado State. He's my favorite prospect, and it's not really close. In terms of being an all-around prospect, I think he's the best in the class. Inline blocks really well. He's a savage inline blocking. A very willing blocker, but he's also a very good blocker. They like to run the ball there at Colorado State, and he was a big part of it. He's also, I feel like doesn't get enough recognition for being a good athlete. He's a plus pass catcher, runs really clean routes. He can do it from the slot. He can do it from inline. They even put him out to the boundary, and he created some separation and some nice catches. He was accounted for over 30% of the passing yards at Colorado State. He was the featured guy, which I think could translate really well to the NFL.
Yeah, the only thing I think you don't see with him as much as some of the other guys like the Woods or the Wydermyer type prospects is he's not – I wouldn't call him like a physical pass catcher. He doesn't seem to use his body to he just runs good routes. But he doesn't kind of make those heavy like Gronkowski contested catches. Yeah. Which I guess – there's different ways to take care of it at that. And he is open a lot. He's by far the best tight end route runner.
He's really good. He has soft hands. He catches everything thrown his way. He plays through contact well. I know what you're saying. You didn't really see him use his body much to make catches, but he does catch over the middle really well and take on contact well. I have a top 50 grade on him. I think a team like the Colts or the Packers who want to take a flyer on him in that second round, I think could be a really good spot for him because I do think he can be a tight end 1 in an offense. And you can't really say that about many other guys in this draft class. Let's get to Greg Dulcich. And I said this, I think Trey McBride is one of the only really complete tight ends. Greg Dulcich is certainly not one of those. He's a plus pass catcher. He's got a really good speed. I was surprised he didn't run as fast of a 40 that I thought and that we saw in film, especially in that LSU game. You saw him run away from DBs.
He made some monster plays catching across the middle and just taking them.
And he's good after the catch. He breaks tackles. I thought he was really impressive in the passing game. Doesn't really block well. He's a former walk-on wide receiver who just put on some weight, but I think he's got really good movement skills. In a league where you're seeing tight ends kind of become more just jumbo wide receivers and kind of lining up less in line and blocking, I think he'll have some value for a team as well.
Yeah, no, I'm a big Dulcich. I always think when I see him run, he looks like Kittle. He's got an angry runner.
Yeah.
Fast, accelerates well. And that's a weapon. You make big plays in the NFL. That's certainly a kind of what you want. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. Obviously he's not as complete a player as McBride, but he can catch the ball.
Yeah, he's a plus pass catcher for sure. And then Jelani Woods, he moves up. He was the only guy that I really moved to. There was 2 guys that we moved up and down after testing. Jelani Woods is one of the guys that moved up, and I think deservingly so. 22 reps on the bench press. Again, I don't care that much, but that's impressive for a guy with the long arms like he has, which is optimistic when you're thinking about inline blocking and doing some of that tight end blocking roles. But a 4.5 240 for a guy 6'7", 270 pounds. And talk about a guy who does use his body and use his length to make catches, especially in the red zone. Jelani Woods checks those boxes. The one concern we have is the injuries. I see him maybe struggling with Rob Gronkowski type injuries. He was hurt a couple times at Virginia. Of course.
Yeah, now that guy's go low on that big frame.
You can't tackle him. Right? Yeah.
It's hard to it does present the chance for injury, but for me, what you saw with Woods is the combine kind of, I think, opened people's eyes. And then when you go back and watch what he did, it's why wasn't this guy getting any more attention before the combine? Because the game's good. For being 6'7", he's fairly smooth. I wouldn't call him in the Trey McBride, Dulcich league of route running smoothness, but he does what you mentioned. He does use his body well to high point balls, catch balls that like the defender just can't defend because he's too big. So, but yeah, I do think he's smooth enough. I don't think it's a problem per se. It's not like his strength, but he's not like straight line can't get in and out.
Yeah, and he only had one season of production after transferring from Oklahoma State. He gets into that air raid Virginia offense with Brennan Armstrong.
That's because Oklahoma State never tried to use him. They were making him be a fullback or something. Yeah, that's what they call him, like a blocking fullback. So in a league, I got in their face.
In a league where catching touchdowns and being able to convert in the red zone is so important, increasingly important now, with how good these offenses are becoming. A guy like Jelani Woods provides a lot of value because you saw the Bills struggle with this a couple of times, like not great in the red zone, settling for field goals, even though your offense is putting up a ton of yards in a game. Like that'll lose you.
You're not going to score.
Having a guy that can provide some value in the red zone, like a Jelani Woods, when the windows get tight, he can go make plays contested. I think there's a lot of value. I have a day 2 grade on him. Really excited about this guy. One of my guys in the class for sure. Second guy who moved down a little bit, and this is
asinine out of you. Like to put Isiah Likely over Jaylen Wydermyer, it's crazy. So Jaylen Wydermyer killed it at the SEC. Killed it.
Killed it. Like what, 500 yards for 2 seasons? Like
he's productive.
But he had a lot of drops. Struggled
as a senior. Yes, he did drop the ball.
Yeah, he struggled with drops he struggled with his drops every year. And I think he only played 3 years. So it's like not a lot of balls thrown his way. He was dropping a lot of them. And it's not because he cleaned it up this year. But my problem with him is like, how is he going to create separation? Like, I like the body, and that's why I have him still so high when a lot of people really plummeted him down their boards after the 5-second 40-yard dash, which is concerning. And I had concerns about that. And I think we made a bet. Like, was he going to go sub 4.8? And I said, no, there's no way. Like, look at the film. The dude is really slow. Like, he's, like, stuck in the mud running.
Now, I thought he was faster than that. I didn't think he didn't look like 5.0.
That was surprising. Even for me, who didn't think he was that fast. Like, that is shockingly slow. All the Texas A&M cats ran slow. Isaiah Spiller, DeMarvin Leal, Leon O'Neal. I don't know what was going on with that Texas A&M strength staff, but those guys were just stuck in the mud running their 40s. Now, Jaylen Wydermyer is a guy that I think his speed was never really how he won. He's a pretty fluid mover in terms of route running, and he's really physical. And that goes a long way in being able to win as a tight end. And that's why Isiah Likely and him are kind of close together, because Isiah Likely is a good athlete, but he's undersized and he's not physical. Like, he gets rerouted pretty often. And when you're running routes, like up the seam, across the middle, you can't get rerouted like he does. And that's just, of course.
But I don't even get the sense that Likely is he's a good athlete, but I don't think he's like a really good at like me. I think he's like good, but
good Darren Waller.
That's what Wydermyer does exactly what you want tight ends to do. He was just big, very hard to cover.
Yeah.
Made when he was playing well, he was making the catches you want to make, high pointing balls, and being a force.
That's why he falls to 5, because I think the 4 guys above him have traits that are gonna maybe let them succeed a little bit more. Isiah Likely I think he'll be a matchup nightmare. I think if he puts a little bit more weight onto the frame and kind of fixes that physicality issue, he's gonna be hard to cover, because you saw it at Coastal. He's a really hard guy to stick a linebacker on or even a safety on, because he is a very good athlete. And I think if you continue to develop a guy like him, I think he can be a really good pro. Jaylen Wydermyer, concerning level of athleticism. I think he's smooth. I think he's physical. But in terms of creating separation, I just don't see it.
But he plays like a premier tight end. When he's playing well, he is doing what premier tight ends do. I just don't think you saw Isiah Likely do. All his balls were caught up the seam, basically, and he was wide open, it felt like.
They did.
If you go back and look at the bulk of Isiah Likely's production, it was wide open seam routes that nobody touched them and nobody was covering.
Yeah, Coastal ran an offense at, of course, the strength of schedule.
And it's not his fault, but it's you saw what Jaylen Wydermyer can do. He was again, he's a very productive tight end in the SEC for 2 years, really. He can play a ton as a freshman.
I'm feeling like there's a little SEC bias there. Because, like, I don't know. Like,
I don't even think, like, SEC bias. Like, yeah, I think it does help your case when you succeed at big schools. God forbid.
Like, I didn't think he was that good. Like, I just didn't. I didn't think his play was that impressive. He had a couple big games, but he also had a lot of drops and just wasn't, like, dominant like his top 15 recruit in the country rank suggested he would be. That's all right. That's the beauty of the draft class. You're not always going to agree. We'll see that he's going to be a guy because I know you have him as tight end too, I believe. So we'll see how he pans out in the NFL. With that 5-second 40, like, how are you going to create separation? I think it's harder to be just relying on contested balls at the next level. Cade Otton comes in at 6 and just overall solid tight end. Again, a day 3 grade. A lot of these guys that we're going to be talking about, I'm not going to, like, go to bat with. I think after Jaylen Wydermyer, I think it gets a little bit more whoever you like and whatever fits your scheme a little bit. But Cade Otton's a really solid tight end at Washington. One of their main receiving threats, I think he blocks well. More of just a one of the more complete tight ends that just solid day 3 pick. Don't have much else to say. But I do have something to say about Chigoziem Okonkwo from Maryland. It's ROC's guy. He's athletic, like really athletic. We saw him play at Maryland. He's hard to bring down. He's got a good frame. Like, he's definitely a little shorter, but he's also really fast. I think he's a traits guy. He needs work at the next level, but kind of gets into that discussion of how high are you going to draft guys with good traits.
I mean, at that point, it's like it does get into that because you got other guys here that weren't wildly dominant in college and have some very much concerns athletically. I think when you look at, like, in Austin Allen, it's like,
yes, I'm excited to talk about him.
What he did was, like, impressive, and he was, he caught balls, and if you threw it up to him, he could get it, but God, he was never open. It felt like
stuck in the mud. Yeah.
So that's
260. So that's why I want to talk about Cole Turner and Austin Allen, because I have him ranked a little bit higher than most people, and it kind of gets to the point of the point I made with Jelani Woods. Red zone success rate is massive in the NFL. I think it's way more important than it was 10 years ago. And having just a guy that you can play, it's 3rd and goal from the 7, and the windows are tight. Teams are playing like the base cover 2. The throwing windows just aren't there. Can you have a big guy like Cole Turner or Austin Allen that can catch a ball? I think both of those guys showed that at Nebraska and Nevada. Cole Turner, I have edged out a little bit. Cole Turner, he's not going to be able to block. He's got a really small lower half, 6'6", 246 pounds.
That's thin.
He's long, but you take a look at him, like, really small lower half. They didn't ask him to block too much. So he's a guy that I think is just going to be kind of a red zone guy. And again, I have those guys valued a little bit higher. When you look at Jake Ferguson, Charlie Kohler, Daniel Bellinger, they're probably athletically a little bit more gifted. Cole Turner had very good production. But I'm valuing those guys who can just add a little bit of value when it's like converting on one more red zone opportunity. I think that's massive in the NFL these days. So I'm valuing those guys a little bit more. And Austin Allen had a great career at Nebraska. They loved using him. He was reliable. Like, when the ball hit his hands, he was catching it. I have Austin Allen, Cole Turner. Guys who aren't as high as on many people's boards, I have them a little bit higher. Cole Turner's athletic. He's smooth. Like, I had some preconceived notions. I actually, a couple of months ago, didn't have Cole Turner in the top 5 of the first tight end video we did. And a guy commented, like, check out Cole Turner. I was like, Cole Turner, I don't think he has it. Like, he's actually, like, makes some highlight reel catches, really good body control for a 6'6" guy. He impressed me a lot. Daniel Bellinger from San Diego State. I wish he played in a different offense because I actually liked what I saw from him. But that San Diego State offense was just as basic as can be. They did not open it up in the passing game. They pretty much just handed it off to Greg Bell and let him cook. But a guy that I think has the ability to be a tight end 2 at the next level, just didn't really get a ton of chances to show it.
Yeah, I mean,
had a great combine though.
Here it just gets hard. It gets hard with the tight ends here.
Absolutely. And that's what I mean. Like, these guys, if you wanted
college doesn't use tight ends, so it's like Like most college programs just don't.
And even in the NFL, you're starting to see those tight ends become just jumbo receivers. And I think about the best tight ends. It's hard to find those guys like Travis Kelce, Kyle Pitts. George Kittle's one of the more like complete tight ends we see. But like Darren Waller, Travis Kelce, Kyle Pitts, like those guys don't block much. They're just kind of jumbo wideouts. Those guys are hard to find. And so a lot of these guys in this class, there's none in this class. Obviously, Kyle Pitts last class, but there's none of those guys in this class. I think Greg Dulcich has a chance to be one, but he definitely just needs some work. Charlie Kohler from Iowa State, a guy that could have left a couple years ago. Really impressive career there at Iowa State. Just kind of in the similar Austin Allen vein. He's a basketball player, uses body, can catch contestedly, will be good in the red zone, but just athletically capped. A lot of those guys at Iowa State were just athletically capped.
Same with the next guy on this list.
Jake Ferguson
doesn't have the height.
He doesn't have the height. He doesn't have the body. But in terms of like, if you ask me what tight end I'd want in college, like he's a good college tight end, and he fit Wisconsin really well. Really good to like.
That's the problem is he was like a perfect fit where he was, but I don't think he fits much else. So. Yeah.
I agree, and he's like might be the worst athlete in the because there's not a ton like the guys who didn't test that well were big. Like Jake Ferguson's not that big. He's not like overly physical. He finds some space, he catches balls, and he goes about his day. He's kind of like a lunch pail guy. Puts on his hard hat, grabs his lunch pail, and just goes to work. Doesn't do anything special. 9 to 5, clocks in, catches a few balls, 4 catches for 55 yards, clocks out. There's nothing special.
He's like that's the thing. It's like he was a good Wisconsin tight end. It's just where else would he succeed much?
Jeremy Rucker is an interesting guy because I think he's like he didn't test extremely well, but I thought he could have produced more at Ohio State. Hard to find the production when you're behind a lot of Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith-Njigba. Even when Julian Fleming, like there, it was a laundry list of wide receivers, just options that you'd rather throw to if you're CJ Stroud.
And he's got the look of a guy who, like, I would think would be a really good tight end, like long, a little thin, but not like overly.
He blocks well though. He blocks well.
I know. I'm just like he's got the body that's like, that could be a really good tight end. And Ohio State just doesn't use him. It's almost like why even go there if you're a tight end because they.
Who was the Ohio State tight end that got drafted really high by Urban Meyer last year? You remember the name? It was the other guy. I thought Jeremy Rucker was the better prospect.
The guy on the Broncos?
I'm forgetting his name. No, he definitely got – Urban Meyer took him. I'm pretty confident about that. Oh. See if you can find it while I'm talking about this last guy because I know you don't really know much about him. Granite Calcaterra, SMU guy. He transferred from Oklahoma to SMU. He actually medically retired from football, concussion issues. So that'll be a red flag for a lot of teams. But he ended up going to SMU following his quarterback and Tanner Mordecai. He's actually pretty good. Mike Joseph was on the pod a couple of days ago. Really likes Granite Calcaterra. He actually tested really well. Like he's a good athlete. He's a good pass catcher. He just the medical red flags are a problem. You got to be a little concerned with not producing at OU. Then he has to go to SMU to kind of get on the field and get some production. I think he'll be a day 3 pick, maybe. But even if some of these guys that we mentioned, probably undrafted free agents. Again, I'm not going to go to bat for Granite Calcaterra or Jake Ferguson over Granite Calcaterra. I was just kind of putting those guys in an order of what I felt was good and what maybe they could add. I'm just looking for that small value that NFL teams might look for. But again, these guys.
All right, so you were right. Luke Farrell was taken.
That's him.
At 145.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was like really
true. Did Luke Farrell even like start over Rucker? I feel like not really. But
and you saw Jeremy Rucker 2 years ago in the playoffs had like one of the best catches in Ohio State football history. Made an incredible catch in the end zone against, I believe, Clemson. Like Jeremy Rucker's got some pedigree to him. They just
didn't give him a chance to shine.
But I can't even blame Jeremy Rucker because it's like you had one of the best wide receiving rooms we've seen in a really long time at the college football level. I mean, like it rivaled the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson.
No, I know, but that still hurts the ability to take them because you still want to see the.
Actually, that's an interesting conversation. Can you think of a better wide receiver room than Ohio State had last year? I mean, they'll have
LSU's and the year they won it all was really, really
Justin
good.
Jefferson, Jamar Chase, 2 guys who might be better than Olave.
The other tall dude.
Marshall, yeah.
Yeah, Terrace Marshall.
Like Jackson Smith and Jigma might be like he's gonna be so good. I'm not excited.
That could definitely be the best unit, but that's the only one that comes to mind. But
Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, both like 2 top 5 wide receivers.
Yeah.
But that's a review on the tight end class. Again, if you're ranking these classes, tight ends are probably one of the lower ranked classes. Not too many guys that I see being like tight end 1 starters. I think Trey McBride could be. I think Jaylen Wydermyer could be. I think Jelani Woods could be. Greg Dulcich just needs work, but I have him high because I really like the potential that he has. And Isiah Likely, I have him higher too because I think he could be maybe a more that jumbo wide receiver who's kind of a matchup nightmare, like a Darren Waller, like a Travis Kelce. But we'll see how these guys pan out. Again, comping guys to Darren Waller, Travis Kelce is probably not a good sign because those guys, again, they don't grow on trees.
Yeah. Probably not going to get that.
Same idea of comping defensive tackles to Aaron Donald. Like, there's a reason why we've only seen one Aaron Donald because that's a review on the tight end class. Obviously, appreciate you guys checking us out, listening to us talk about some of these NFL draft prospects. We'll be back with some more NFL draft prospects on the defensive side of the ball early next week. As usual, thanks for rocking with the ROC Boys. Talk to y'all later. Peace.